Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, how are you doing today? I hope you're doing good wherever you are. Today, we want to explore the most effective way President Ruto can deal with Raila Odinga and his Azimio followers. As you all know, if you live in Kenya or follow Kenyan politics, Raila is not satisfied with the electoral results, and he claims that he won the elections and that the elections were stolen away from him. And he made a set of demands in which he said if the president doesn't meet those demands, he will rally people from across the nation and converge on March 20th to have a massive, huge rally, and they will proceed to march towards the State House and forcefully remove Ruto if they have to. Actually, he said that's what they'll do. Now, if you are President Ruto, what's the most effective way you can deal with this Azimio folks? It's very simple. There are two main reasons why I think Ruto has leverage in this situation. He can use these two ways or two reasons why he can actually deal and neutralize Raila and his followers. Number one, Ruto is the president of Kenya. Okay, the main argument by Azimio saying that, claiming that they won the elections, they say there's a whistleblower who hasn't been identified really. That's number one. And number two, they claim that the servers needs to be open. What they fail to understand, or they conveniently avoid to address, is this. The presidential election results are to be decided at the polling station. This has nothing to do with the server. So if you tally all the polling stations, the results of the presidential results on the polling station, and come up with a number, you can easily determine who won the elections. So from the polling stations all over across the nation, that information is usually relayed to the servers in Nairobi or whatever the case they are, and we can tell who the president is. So basically, what I'm trying to say is this. If you tally the presidential results at the polling station, you can determine who won the presidential election, okay? That's why this is a non-issue. And the Supreme Court has already settled the issue. So basically, Raila is just, making noise because he wants some kind of power, handshake, nusumkati, okay? But that's not what I want to talk about. This is what I want to address. Two reasons why Ruto can simply neutralize the Azimio movement. Number one, Ruto has the West backing him. I mentioned in my previous video that the West are backing Ruto because, number one, Ruto went and took the loans, okay? As long as you borrow from the West, you are their puppet. You are their pet. They'll always favor you because you are working in their interest, okay? Number two, I mentioned US and England, British people, they have, it is in their interest to see that Kenya is stable because they need the Kenyan security forces to help them in the Congo peace missions. As you've seen, Kenya's army, they were sent in Congo for Congo peace missions. And also Somali. Kenya needs, US and British, they need Kenya's forces to help neutralize the situation in Somalia. Okay? That's another reason why the West are interested in Kenya. It is in their interest to see that Kenya is stable. All right. Number two, Ruto has the instruments of power. Okay? He controls the army. He controls the security forces. Okay? If I am Ruto, and I think Ruto is doing this, do not listen to me, Ruto, if you're watching this video. The prudent thing to do is this. Do not fall into Raila's trap. Raila's strategy is basically try to get people in the streets and cause chaos. Try to destabilize the peace by all these protests. He wants to lure Ruto to release the security forces so they can have this tear gas and all this crap happening in the township, in the cities, where people will be throwing stones, having all this fights and skirmishes with the police. That way, the media can pick up on that and make the international community see Kenya as being not stable. Okay, Kenya as being like their interpretation is easy to interpret is at Kenya are dissatisfied with the president, because he can see, Raila can go and say, hey, listen, people are on the streets, they don't agree with they don't agree with Ruto, they want him out, and you can see what's going on in the streets. It's easy to paint that picture to the rest of the international community, and even to the people who in the rural areas, if they're looking at the TV and they see people throwing stones, they'll be like, oh, you know what? The majority people don't like Ruto, so yeah, they must be whatever. You get the drift, okay? So what Ruto should do is this, and this is the most effective way of dealing with this Azimio people. Number one, find out who is funding these rallies. That's number one. Okay? Now, it is alleged that Kenyatta is behind the funding of these rallies. So guess what you do? Go after the Kenyattas. They're an easy target. You have a reason to do so. The Kenyattas are known to have, grabbed a lot of land in Kenya. They own a lot of businesses in Kenya. They've stashed stuff overseas. The Panama Papers can help you execute this case if you wanted to go after the Kenyattas. Okay? Number two, look at all these Azimio leaders. Target the Azimio leaders. These people are corrupt. Not only corrupt, they are greedy. They're not principled. Most of them are holding on to Raila in the hopes that in the future, they'll inherit the leadership in Azimio. They're not there because they care about the Kenyan people. Look at Martha Karua. Look at her political history. First of all, she's corrupt. Remember the case back in the day when she was accused of receiving money from a British tobacco company? That's a corruption case that was never addressed. Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo is a joke. We know that. This is a chameleon. He goes by the wind. He's not there because he believes in, truth, justice, and reconciliation. Kalonzo is there. Kalonzo made his money by just caring about himself, being selfish, being an opportunist. And he's not the only one. Eugene Wamalwa has no clout. He's there trying to make a name for himself as a politician. Okay? So you can see these people. Orengo is basically Raila's lapdog. What I'm trying to say is this. These are leaders who only care about themselves. They care about their stomachs. They're not principled. They don't stand on anything. Unfortunately, majority of the Kenyan politicians are like this. So what do? You, as the president of Kenya, open their corrupt cases, like you're doing with Matiang'i. You guys want to go to Mandamano? Fine. Because don't arrest them immediately. Don't arrest them. If you arrest them, now you will incite their supporters. Just open up their cases. Freeze their assets if you have to, their businesses. Go after their illegally ill-gotten wealth. It's a way of sanctioning them and work in tandem with the international community. Since they're trying to destabilize the country, have their businesses overseas, their bank accounts overseas, like the Kenyatas. Have those bank accounts frozen if you have to. Go after them. That's how you take care of these people. And do the same with Raila Odinga too. See what happens. Like I gave an example of 2007, when the Kibaki government did not want to negotiate with the ODM. What happened? The US deported Martha Karua's son from the US, okay? And banned him from going to the US, okay? And there were several, I think Mudarua or something, his name is, I'm forgetting his name. You know, it was Martha Karua and some other CS that were really headstrong and would not give an inch. They were difficult to deal with. And once the British and the US put pressure on them, freezing their assets, they was forced to come and negotiate. Do the same thing, Ruto. Work with the Western government, though you know how I feel about the Western government, but use your government to go after these people's assets. Do so under the auspice of fighting corruption. Do that. They are corrupt. Raila and Molasses opened that case. That way, you are targeting them indirectly without messing with their supporters who are on the streets. Now, if you freeze up their money, freeze up their business, guess what? They might change their tune, and they know that. Okay? So that's the most effective way you can stop these people. Work in tandem with the international community, the US or the Brits, to freeze the assets of these people who are funding this movement. And guess what? They will toe the line. You saw that when you went after the Kenyatta family. Mama Ngina had to come in and talk to the media and start crying. But anyway, I want to put this video short, so if you like what I say, if you disagree, comment, share, push that like button, and most importantly, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. This is Fabrizio Romano. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings. I'm out.